they should give you a prescription for antidepressants when you get your builder's license. And I know how negative that sounds now, looking back, but that's how I just felt, because I know so many builders are on them, and it is the most stressful job it can be if we let it. But there's opportunity for it to be the most rewarding job you could possibly do as well.
G'day guys, and welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are back in the shed today, and as usual, I'm really pumped up to get these episodes out to you guys and help my mission to create a new building industry and help builders run better, sustainable, successful and profitable business, while at the same time helping their trade, suppliers and everything do the same thing and deliver their clients incredible products. So the guest we have today is definitely come a long way in this area. So we've got Brett from Saltash back. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good, very well, mate. And I'm super pumped. So this is Brett's second podcast. If anyone's missed it, I got Brett on probably 5-6 months ago.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
So it was 12 months last week or 2 weeks ago to we have our Builders Breakfast group, which we run here in Brisbane. And 12 months ago, Brett, at that Breakfast Creek Hotel, having our Christmas party, Brett sort of pulled me aside, had a bit of a chat to me and said, I'm pulling the pin. I've come up with a plan. I can't make money in this industry. I've had enough. My wife's out of the business. She's gone and got a job. I'm out of here. I'm going to go and do something else. This is fucked.
Pretty much that was the mindset at the time.
And then, so that was in December 2021. And then in February, you and I went for a hit of golf. And while we were playing golf, you said, oh, I've signed up to Live Life Build. I was like, fuck, you didn't even ring me and talk to me about it. You just jumped in. So, and look, Brett jumped in the deep end. He put in the hard yards and you saw the rewards very quickly, didn't you?
I did, yeah. And I think a big part of when, and probably that conversation we had was when you say you're giving it up, this weight comes off your shoulders because you feel like the end's in sight, and you think clearer. You can see, I could see things clearer just by not having that weight that I'd been under for a few years by that stage. And it gave me, a better perspective, and I just wanted to give it one more crack, but a proper crack this time, and really put the work in on myself and the business to really make sure I'd give it everything before I did, if I did decide to hand it in.
Yeah. And so the big reason I got Brett back, because you've done so much work on yourself. Like in the last, 3 months, you've just smashed it.
Yeah, mainly, really seriously in the last 3 months, yep.
And the big reason for it is, we're basically, we're a week away from Christmas 2022. I know there's a lot of builders out there, just like a lot of stories and messages I get through social media and stuff, and even just talking to builders. I feel that like it's been a crazy year. Like it doesn't matter who you are, how good you're running a business. Like it has been a crazy year. There's a lot going on. It feels a lot of Groundhog Day. Like you're constantly reorganizing things, chasing things up, all that type of shit. And I feel there's a lot of people in our industry that are just blaming the industry, blaming the price increases, saying, oh, I need to take a break. I can't, like, it's not working. I'll come back when things change.
Yeah. And
I just, like, Brett has done what you need to do to get out of that mindset. Like, you've changed.
Yeah, I've had to change my whole, I've had to own a lot more of what I was doing.
Yeah. Like you can't just keep blaming the industry, can you?
No, this industry's been around longer than us, and we'll continue on. We're always going to it's always going to go through the ups and downs, but and sure, we probably are in one of the most challenging times, but there's no time like this to sort your shit out, get on top of all your stuff, and make sure you know you're running, because you know you're organised, all your scheduling, everything. It's a multi-pronged attack, but there's no better time to do that than in a time like this.
So mate, I get asked this all the time. I know I've got a pretty clear answer what mine is now, but what's the one thing? Like if you could just say there's one thing that made you make a decision to improve your business, improve yourself, what would it be?
It was probably the realisation that all the problems that I was having in the business I'd created. Once I realised that, and this is through it's a favourite saying of yours, nothing happens to you, it happens because of you. And once I actually sat with that for a while and processed that, I could see I could see little areas where I was going wrong. And at the start, it did feel like way too big to deal with, and it seemed overwhelming. But when I joined Live Life Build, having it laid out, and you could with the Wheel of Life, you can pick the worst parts first to work on. And for me to be able to break it down, that was So in short, realizing that it's up to me to make the changes.
Ownership.
Yeah,
because that's my it's taken me a long time to people used to always ask me, what's your one thing, and I'd say this and that, and but
depending on the day,
yeah,
because there's always different things going on in building every day that are challenging.
But at the end of the day, it's ownership.
Yep.
You have to take control of everything that is happening in your life, and stop blaming other people, the industry,
as soon as that sunk in, I looked at everything completely differently. Dealing with clients, how I prepared clients before we started the job, how I prepared our guys before we started the job. It was all, if I put the time in the front end, before these things become a problem, you can, it's more about education. If you can educate people to know what to expect when we're coming up, whether it's starting a new job or going through the pack process, any of that, that's the key. That's how you control the whole thing, is really be organised and have control over the narrative by doing the work. You've got to do it yourself.
Yeah, and you've got to, it is very overwhelming. I know I went around in circles for years, because I did a post in our Facebook group last night for Live Life Build, and I do refer it a lot to my lawn now. I don't know. I think it's a bloke thing. We love our grass.
Yep.
All types of grass. But if I want to have a good lawn, you've got to, and so when I look back, my business was a shit show, but I would make the time. I'd go out once the kids are in bed late at night. I'd fertilise, I'd water, I'd pick weeds out. I put in the time, and I got the rewards for that. Yeah. And if I slackened off a little bit, it wasn't long before the lawn was half dead, the weeds would take over. Yep. And I think, for me now, I think in my mind like that. I've got to constantly, every day, whether it's an audible book or even just having conversations like you and I do, you've got to be doing something constantly to grow your mind. Yep. And our one thing I'm quite passionate about, and I've realised, our minds can never be filled. You can just keep taking information in and keep listening to stuff, other opinions, other personalities, other values, all this stuff, and then take ownership of it, determine which, your values and where you want to go, and just start that ball rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is, you've just got to get the ball rolling. That's the thing, get that momentum going, and then it becomes less daunting. I started with the real big problem areas like yourself. I had no interest in understanding my overheads. So I really struggled to understand the business side of things and what it took to run a business profitably. Once I understood that stuff, that my whole world changed, really, and it did really quickly. Once I knew that I was covering my costs, I knew that we were going to make the profit we needed to off every job. Then it comes down to just delivering the job, which is that's the easiest part for us. Building the job's easy. It's the stuff that happens beforehand, and if you don't get that right, you're feeling that pain for 9-12 months while you carry out this job, and further sometimes.
Well, it eats into everything. You get overwhelmed, you get anxiety, the depression. You got to pick and choose what bills you're paying. You got to
you make poor decisions because you're under pressure.
Yeah, and then you just keep chasing your tail. You're talking shit to people. You're trying to keep people happy all the time. You're paying this guy because you need him to do some work so you can get an invoice in, but then that's letting another guy down. It's just a horrible snowball.
Yeah, it was a horrible time, and that's why I had enough. Yeah, I went through all that stuff. So, and for my personality, I struggled with it, but letting people down, it just knocked me around.
Yeah,
and to the extent that I was getting out, but I love it more than anything now.
Isn't it unreal? Once you get a taste of what you can do and the improvement you can have. I was blown away. We had a conversation the other week, and I was blown away. And that's why I told a little bit of the background at the beginning. You have come from literally 12 months ago to the day, from walking away to now having one of your most successful years.
Yep.
and being in a position where you're now looking at how you can give back and help others.
Yep. Yeah, it's
Like-
been a massive year. It's been a massive year in the business, in our lives personally. But yeah, doing that work on yourself, that's where I felt that just let everything happened a bit more naturally and organically once I started improving myself and learning more. And like you say, you get addicted to learning and more info, and you see things all pop up, or different things as you get a better understanding of what we're doing in our business. Different things grab your attention, and then you sort of want to go and investigate that. You're curious about that, and it can. You got to be careful with that too, because sometimes, and this happened to me in the first half of the year, I got so keen, I overran myself with that side of thing, and then the personal stuff went out the window, like relationships at home went out the window, and then in the last 3 to 4 months, that's been my focus again. So it's a bit of a swings and roundabouts, but in my nature, I'll go 100% at something. If I'm really interested in it, I'll just go 100%, and so it's really been about balancing all that out now.
Do you think a big part of your journey this year as well has been talking about it?
Yeah, talking about it, I'm right into my journaling. That's the number one thing I would suggest to anyone is if you haven't got someone you feel you can talk to about it, and trust me, at the start when things are bad, you don't feel like you've got anyone because you don't want anyone to know. Journaling just lets you process everything, get it out.
Because I was blown away. So Brett and his boys come with us on our work trip this year. So there's a few builders now that are getting on board with this Fraser trip. And during the trip, I got to spend a lot of time with Brett's boys. He's got an incredible team. And we'd done a little bit of exploring in the bush one day, and we're walking back, and one of Brett's young fellas said to me, I listened to that podcast you did with Brett, and I had no idea. And so even like you were at a pub with me telling me that you'd come up with a plan to get out of the industry and shut the business, and no one in your business had any idea that you were at that stage.
Point. No, I'd planned out how I was going to tell them, how I was going to break it down. I was going to find them jobs and everything. Yeah, I had that all planned out.
Yeah, and they
I've still got it in. I've still got the journal at home, which I've done. So it'll be interesting reading one day.
Well, it'd be good to look back at that and to see how far you've come. But it really blew me away that you had got to that point and been able to keep it from everybody, because you like to be at that point, you're obviously under a lot of pressure and feeling, I don't know, a lot of anxiety, I guess. Like,
I was on antidepressants. I ended up on antidepressants, and I've come off them in the last 3 months. First time for 3 years, and just by just spending more time on yourself, doing more work on yourself.
No, that's unreal. I didn't know that, honestly.
Not many do. No, only.
And like you and I have spent a fair bit of time together in the last 12 months.
It's not something you're proud of. I used to have this saying that they should give you a prescription for antidepressants when you get your builder's license. And I know how negative that sounds now, looking back, but that's how I just felt, because I know so many builders are on them, and it is the most stressful job it can be if we let it. But there's opportunity for it to be the most rewarding job you could possibly do as well. Yeah,
well, you've definitely, like, it is incredible how, and again, it's another reason why I wanted to get you back on, because I know so many builders and trades and designers, a lot of people in our industry, or all types of industries, they just struggle to know where to start, what to do. And like, I think a lot of people do get overwhelmed. Like and I know when I think back now to where I was, and you may have been the same, like you do sort of have this inkling of, you know what you need to do, but you never just want to take that step to start or to finish or to get him, like it goes in the too hard basket.
The feeling I can really remember was I did have an idea of what I needed to do in all the different areas, but it all felt just as important and urgent as one another, and it's just too overwhelming. You just, like you said, you put your head in the sand, and it's like, just go back to work harder on site. Like it's just Band-Aid stuff. You need to be doing it the other way around. And once we put that work in, and your whole demeanour changes once you're confident you know you're going to make a profit out of the job.
Yeah.
You treat it with a whole new mindset. You're not in there trying to make sure you're only doing just what you quoted for. If there's something that you can do better that's going to be to the betterment of the job, you can do it because
Yeah.
you know you've got it covered.
Yeah, well, you know your numbers. So if something needs a little bit more attention there, oh, yeah, well, that's fine. Well, I know I got this over here, so yeah, let's do some more work there and give the client a better outcome.
It's just the whole mindset changes. That's been the biggest thing for me. When you know what you're doing and you're confident, you just make so much better decisions. You're locked and loaded, ready to go with no matter what happens. And I love our client meetings now because no matter what they ask me or spring on me, I know exactly where we're at.
Yeah.
Like to the week, we summarise it every week, so I can give them accurate, direct feedback and be confident in what I'm telling them.
And when you come across confident, you get treated with a whole different level of respect and communication.
Yep.
Like
I think the grey hairs help too with the respect. As soon as I started getting a few greys in the beard, they seem to listen because I'm quite young, but compared to some builders. So, that confidence is a big thing.
It's as much as I don't know, I have a funny relationship with money and wealth and things. I think it can be a bit poisonous, but it is, at the end of the day, like the reality is if you're not making money, everything is stressful, isn't it? Like everything comes back. Like you're struggling to pay a mortgage, or you're worried about how you're going to feed the family, or you're worried about how you're going to improve, or you're going to miss out on a holiday. Or like there is so much tied to making profit out of a job that puts everyone under so much pressure. And I know our industry is incredibly bad for it. And it's a big part of why I'm doing everything I'm doing, like educating people. Like I used to get very frustrated with designers, architects, clients, like thinking they could tell me or tell our industry what we can charge.
Dictate prices, yeah.
And now knowing what I know and doing what I do, you can't blame them because we've caused it. Like as builders, we're not taking that extra initiative to do extra training, to understand the business side of our business, understand our overheads. And so, because I got caught in this so many times, and a lot of people would have heard me talk about this like a broken record. Like you're involved in a tendering scenario, you got a builder or an architect, designer, a homeowner, or whatever, saying, "Oh, look, you're 50 grand too dear, you're 100 grand too dear," and you start questioning, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, am I too expensive? Is my trades too expensive? Am I like? And the reality is, you're actually not making money anyway, and you're competing against other builders that aren't making money.
Who don't know how to run their businesses,
Yeah, so you're stuck in this horrible cycle. And I know, like you touched on it before, like we've got the overhead calculator. Like you establish what you need to run your business, which gives you a lot of confidence. And 9 times out of 10, the first thing people say to us when we go through their numbers, we establish their overheads, is fuck. Like I don't get any work now. How am I going to get work if I start charging that? And then when you tell them, well, that's your overhead, you then need to put company profit on top of that.
Yep.
And half of them just think it's impossible.
You're never going to win anything. I did it at the start. I did it at the start. Even before I started Live Life Build and seen the overhead calculator, our accountants tried to tell us what I should be. We'd reviewed it because we were going to shit house, and we're reviewing it with them and trying to for me to understand more about it and how it all works. And they're telling me these margins I need to be charging, and I'm just like and that was a big contributor to me wanting to get out of the industry because I thought I'm just never going to win a job.
Yeah.
But when you know what you're worth, it's a bit of a everything's got to come together to be able to charge it. You can't just be like a handyman builder, just all of a sudden you're going to charge these margins. That's something that you build up over a fair few years.
The reality is most builders are working for the same or less than the carpenters.
I did for years.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, one year our lead carpenter made $40,000 more than I did.
Yeah, and you're running the business. You've got all the responsibilities, liability, and like I think our industry is a very hard one, and I think as builders it's even harder because we're dealing with such big volumes of money, and like I know for me, like this shit figure that keeps getting thrown around, this 10%, like, and so if you don't know your numbers and you're doing a $500,000 job, you just can think in your mind, well, fuck, there's 50 grand in this for me. Like, fuck, we do 3 of these a year. Like, we're doing really well.
Yeah.
But reality is, and we know from the data and from all the overhead calculators we've had filled out now, like the average builder takes between 14 and 18% to run their business.
Yeah.
So if you're putting 10% on your job, that's why you got no money in the bank. That's why you got no cash flow. That's why you're going out the back door.
Yeah.
But like you've said a few times today, it's the confidence, isn't it? Like once you understand it, the confidence changes your whole demeanor, the way you talk to people. And I don't know, I don't think I'm a bloody la goo goo person, but like
definitely, when you put out different energy.
Yeah.
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 You
And you attract the right clients.
Everyone gravitates to you. And we've never been as busy as we are, but we've never put as much time into each client in the lead up to our signing jobs either. So it's like we're spending more time, but then once the jobs are signed, they're so smooth that we can move on and start another preliminary agreement, or we can spend more time on site and we're doing a lot more videos now. We've been working on the business and doing that sort of stuff that we wanted to do that simply haven't had the time for in the past.
Yeah.
But we've set all that up through being really organised at the front end, and educate. You got to educate. I keep going. You're massive on this too. If you can educate your clients and they know exactly what to expect all the way through the job, and there's no surprises, you won't have any problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And execute your contract, stick to your guns, treat it like a business. Don't, like, it might sound harsh, but you don't do favours. Like, you're in business. Profit's not a dirty word. You're in business to make money.
I think if you break the water with that stuff really early, like explain how the contract's going to be. If you want to change something, and it's going to be something, say you're changing windows, they're going to have a delay. This is what you're going to expect. This is going to happen. So then when they come to the time they might want to make a change, they're informed, and it's not a surprise when we say, oh, it's going to delay 8 weeks.
Yeah, and there'll be a time extension, and there'll be a variation, and then there could be delay costs. Like,
yeah.
So hit them, like, educate them on that. Like, you're doing it before you even sign a building contract.
Yeah, I'm so confident now in when we sign a preliminary agreement with someone, a pack process, I would 95% be confident of winning that job.
Yeah.
So I can put all that extra time in that front end, which I know is going to make my life so much easier.
Yeah.
In when the job comes to fruition, where that's usually a stressful time when stuff's happening on site. It's not for us anymore. Like, I could literally, if I didn't like going to site so much, I could go once a week to town, and the boys it would just run itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like, when you get a business in the position like that is ultimately what we all start businesses for, to get that freedom. Yeah.
But like you touched on before, with every business we all get into these businesses doing the things we like doing. It's all the site stuff, all the delivery stuff in every business. No one ever gets into a business because they love the numbers and
the contracts.
The contracts, or slaving over the new building codes and things, just so you can be educated and prepared for when you're going to talk to clients. Yeah, it's all the other way around. We can do all the hands-on stuff, and the building stuff becomes really easy, but we've got to that's where the time needs to be put in, is learning that stuff at the start, making sure you run a good business. The rest is easy.
But it's all, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, does it? Like, you start ticking the boxes, and you just do one or two things at a time.
The wheel of life, that's all you guys use, is the best little example to identify where you need to work on, and not try and do everything at once. And when you do that, you half-ass every bit of it. When you pick 2 or 3 to focus on for the month or for the 3 months, you can put all your energy into that, and it's actually, you'll see a great improvement in it.
Yeah.
Opposed to trying to do little bits everywhere and not really being very efficient.
Oh, mate, it's a game changer. We've had a lot of success with that. So for guys that aren't in Live Like Build, Amelia and I built what we call our 6 Ps. So we believe to run a successful, sustainable, profitable building business, there's these core 6 Ps. Those 6 Ps are broken into 14 segments, which we've put in a 6P elevator wheel. And you basically grade yourself on 1 to 10. We do a review on that every 3 months with everybody. I actually almost review mine monthly or every 6 weeks. I got them in my office where I can see them.
Yeah.
And it just holds me accountable. But the big thing with that is, being a circle, when you start grading yourself, it's not a perfect circle, and the way we explain it is, if the more uneven that circle is, the bumpier ride it's going to be down the road. And it's so true, because if
Yep.
that wheels, if you're running a good business, and the number one P is personal, because if you're, I'm a big believer, if you're not right personally, then nothing around you can be right.
Well, what we've seen in nearly everyone that I've seen on the Zoom calls, all at the first time they ever do the wheel personally is always the lowest ranking.
Yeah.
And then it's hard too, because then you're people come to Live Life Build when they're not going too well, so they're
Yeah.
after, some people are after quick fixes, but and then they realise that they're going to spend their first 2 or 3 months actually working on themselves to allow them to be able to fill the rest of the wheel.
Yeah.
That's sometimes really hard to do, because you feel like you need to be doing business stuff when
Yeah.
it's the most important bit.
So you've really taken that next level. Like so you joined Live Life Build, you got, like, your commitment was unbelievable. Like, I use you as an example all the time. Like, you signed up to Live Life Build and you were committing every day, weren't you? You were
I
getting
was
up at 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I had a couple of 2 o'clock, so I wake up with it just on my mind, so I just get into it. But it was just like if I could see all the answers were there. I just had to, and a lot of it you do, like you said, we know we should be doing some of this stuff, but we'd maybe second guess ourselves exactly how we need to do it. But once you've got there in front of you, I just wanted to get through it as quick as I could, and I've been through it a few times now. Like I said,
Brett would ring me at 6:30 and he'd be on, like, it was like he'd been on something. He's wired. He's like, "Oh, I've been up since 4 o'clock. I've just smashed this out. What's next?"
yeah, that's right.
Um,
It was just like music to my ears, though, this stuff. It was just like, this is what I needed at the start.
yeah.
I wouldn't have had the 3, 4, 5 years of shit.
Oh, mate, look, Amelia and I are on a mission. Like, we got massive plans for Live Life Build. We're definitely on a mission to help every single builder we can. But so you did that, but then you've obviously seen the benefit in the personal, and you've just completely gone next level. Like, you were telling me the other day, you're doing training and you threw up twice.
Yeah, I threw up twice and my vision went blurry in the last bit. And but that's just very unfit.
But you're committed.
Yeah. So a little bit of backstory. I had a hip replacement about 14 weeks ago, and then I started training. We started this self-development course. It's called Rising Kings, and it's I've just loved it. It's all about understanding, is learning more about yourself, learning the type of person you want to be, and things you need to put into place daily to create those good habits. And the benefits just crazy. My energy levels are through the roof. I'm so much more clearer. I still think the most valuable thing is journaling,
Yeah.
and the breath work, but just working on yourself, just having time to check in with yourself and see how you're actually feeling. No one does it. We're all just go, go, go. And I've probably done that a little bit with the start of Live Life Build. I was so into it. I did not burnt myself out, but I didn't put the time in at home, and the relationships, they're the first thing that go by the wayside. So I really wanted to become a better husband, become a better bloke, and be able to. I felt like the business stuff, if I could get that stuff right, the business stuff was going to be so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's unreal, isn't it? Because, like, most people that start working for themselves, like, you get into business to support your family, have a good lifestyle, have the freedom, and yet every business gets to a point where everything else suffers. Like, all the reasons we got into the business all start to suffer because the business is so
demanding. It takes everything from you, because we don't know how to do it properly from the start. Yeah. I really feel I wasted like 3 or 4 years of my life. How we done it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mate, that's
Massive.
better, because I fucking feel like I wasted 10 or 12. So
Yeah, well, the pain you felt earlier helped me get quick up the rung a bit quicker. So it was very thankful for that.
I shouldn't say that, because I don't. I used to get a bit down about that, but now I just think, like, I would never be where I am now if I hadn't have gone through that, and you wouldn't either. Like, if you hadn't had those 3 or 4 years of tough times, you wouldn't have got to where you are now, but you also wouldn't see where you can go.
Yeah, you appreciate it so much more. I think if someone, and look, sure, it would be great to start out on the right foot and do things a little bit smoother, but yeah, without them trials, when things get to where we are now, like I often find myself driving and reflecting. Reflect on so much stuff now, and I'll often get like quite emotional with like happy emotions of
Yeah.
just how the fuck did this change? Like how is thinking about times, even I think it was only 18 months ago now, 2 years ago maybe. I thought we were going bankrupt. Yeah,
Yeah.
and to get to where we are now, where this year we're going to do a project for free for some people who have kids in wheelchairs, and we want to be able to give back and give the skills we've got to try and make their lives better in 12 months. Like that's
Mate, it's fucking amazing, and I love it because that shit brings tears to my eyes. Like if when you and that will continue to drive you. Like that's it's unbelievable. So like now, like you schedule things now, don't you? So like for
everything.
you, personal's number one, relationships like up there too, number one,
Yep.
and then everything else around you is falling into place.
Yep. Yeah. I don't treat the work hours as much like I used to be really strict, like from 6 till 5. Then nothing else happened except for work. But I'm if I need to do if we want to do something in the middle of the day, we can just do that now. When I know that I'm organised and I've scheduled what I need to get done in different times around. And if it means a couple of hours in the office after work or after tea, that's what it is. And to be honest, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
But you're able to do that. We do the same thing. Like Camille and I, it's not uncommon for us to smash something out on it. Like we might do a half a day on a Sunday. Like the kids will be busy with friends or doing something, so we'll just jump in, smash out some work on a Sunday. But that set us up for the week, so we don't have any stress through the week. We might go out for lunch during the week.
Yeah.
Like,
I used to feel really bad about doing personal stuff for myself when the guys were working.
yeah,
Just today, I went and got fitted for new golf clubs. I've been wanting to do this since I finished playing footy. I've wanted to do it, and I've always avoided it because I just felt like I shouldn't be spending that money, or I shouldn't be doing that stuff in my work hours.
So you're telling me the golf clubs you got at the moment, they're just a random set of golf clubs?
Second-hand golf clubs off Marketplace. I've never had a new set in my life.
Like that just makes me feel even worse because like when we went and had a hit of golf, Brett just spent the whole time driving around helping me find my balls.
It wasn't that bad, mate. No, it was good.
But that's awesome. Like, like how good's that feel to be able to do that? But
I just didn't have any angst about it. Like if I was doing something in the past, which I felt like I should be working, I wouldn't be really present in what I'm doing. I'd be feeling like I'd be wanting to get back to work or do something that I felt like was improving the business. But I feel like, I feel so much more calm about that side of things, and I know that I'm covering what I'm doing, what I need to do. Just a big part of it is knowing what you need to do.
Yeah.
Once you know what you need to do, you can schedule it.
Yeah.
And it just becomes so much more enjoyable.
How scheduled is your day? Like what are you?
So I'm not. I do the time specific stuff. So if there's something that has to happen at a certain time, that goes in first, and then I sort of do the rest of the day in checklist, in like a to-do list for me, because I find it depends on where these things have to happen. So you might do it in a certain order, but I'm still a massive to-do list type of guy. Yeah, I like to see it. So and I probably look at my list in my phone 50 times a day.
Yeah,
I reckon. Yeah, and I'll juggle things around. So I always have a to-do list that goes for 2 weeks in advance. Yeah, and I just keep at the end of every week I plan the next week. I just put the important things in. I find I tried to do it in the calendar in our emails, and just I just didn't seem as easy for me to do. Yeah.
I think this is really important. Like I schedule heaps in my schedule, and then I have my to-do list in my diary. But I think a really important thing is, like, you listen to all these mentors and coaches and things, and it's like, this is what you have to do. You need to try things until you find something that works for you.
Yep.
Because if you try something and it doesn't work, you just get deflated and you go back to your old habits. Like, keep trying these, like scheduling, keeping notes, like until you find something that works for you, and then run with it.
Yeah, I sort of double up on a bit. So beside my to-dos, even the things I've got in my calendar, I use an Outlook calendar. I'll even put them things in my to-do list with the time, and just so I can just have a quick look and this is what I'm doing next.
Yeah.
And and we're only just talking about this when we're walking in today. Oh, you can get so much more done.
The first thing, walking down the driveway, Brett was looking at me with his massive smile on his face, telling me, "Fuck, I just cannot believe how much you can get done in a day." Like when
You jam them up, and it might feel overwhelming at times, but if you just organise. And I do a lot of prep before I leave home. So if I've got meetings, I'll do a prep sheet for every single thing, and it's all in the order on the folder, on my clipboard, how I want it.
Yeah.
And it's just there. It's building little systems that work for yourself. I think
there's no one thing size fits all, is there?
And you all see like 7 steps to success, all this sort of stuff. Read it all, review it all, assess it, figure out how it works for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do things that way. It's not going to be the end of the world. Most of them are sales gimmicks anyway. So just take them for what they are and figure out how it's going to work best for you. But once you start scheduling, making value in your time is the most important thing. My wife said this to me all the 4 years of all struggling. You don't value your time. You give so much time away for free. And I did. And I still do because I enjoy it. But I do it in a structured way where I know I've got that time.
Yeah.
I'm not pinching time from something else I need to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're like, obviously your relationship's good now. You're getting time on yourself.
Yeah, we're doing so much. We've planned 2 holidays this year. They're not big. They're not out of one's down to Victoria and the other one's just up the sunny coast. But we haven't really had a holiday apart from little camping trips for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But they're in and I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah. And that's another big part of scheduling, isn't it? Like this is looking forward for 2023. Like you're already thinking about your holidays.
Well, we've got that's a beauty of having a lot of work booked in, like I think a lot of builders do now at the moment. Next year is fully booked and we're already planning and ordering things for jobs. So I'm starting to do a lot of the work that in the past, I would have been doing a lot closer to the time we need on site. And then there's that urgency and there's, if something's delayed or you do things a bit rushed or sure, there's certain things because we do a lot of renovations. There's certain things you do need to order once you start on site, but to minimise that and it's just to have that sense of organisation and calm when you're doing a job. I think it really clients and your workers pick up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're calm, level-headed when you get to site instead of running around, going off your tits, kicking shit, what's going on? It's just, and you've seen how well we all get along. Our guys are just like a big bunch of mates. We play golf every Friday. They play golf together on the weekends. They wouldn't be like that if they didn't enjoy the environment that we've created.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing about owning it. You create that environment. You've got to drive it.
And that's your culture.
Yeah.
Like you're setting a culture up for the future of your business.
Yeah, culture is a word I really struggled because I thought it was always good, but I think what I mixed it up with just being too pally with your workers and not having that. Sometimes people will give an inch, take a mile.
Yeah.
We've got a really good respect within our group of guys at the moment. They just, I'm really enjoying the site side of stuff for me. That's allowing me to do all this other stuff, work on myself, work on the business.
Because your team's come a long way this year, haven't they? Like you've given guys opportunity to grow within the business and take on more responsibility, all that type of stuff. Yeah,
a lot of that come from Live Life Build as well. How to structure that for people, give people. Yeah, we don't do strict KPI type stuff, but we definitely, if someone wants a payroll, someone wants to step up and do, maybe have a bit more responsibility on site, they've got to show us that they deserve it.
Yeah.
And me being not on site every day, they don't have to show me. They've got to win over Dave and Joel and Matt and these guys who are running the sites. Once that happens and people start just building, wanting to improve themselves, the whole business is just flows on.
Yeah, and that helps build the team, doesn't it? Like when everyone's pulling their weight, trying hard, putting the effort in.
Like we got a video made and we spent a bit of money to get this video made to try and attract new carpenters, and we never had to use it. 2 guys walked in off the street, and it was sort of a bittersweet. But at the end of the day, we got what we were after. But yeah, these guys seen how. I think one of the guys seen how the guys they were kicking the footy or something after work on the road, and they seen
Yeah.
that when they drove past the day before. They seen how neat and tidy the site was. And one of them commented on a big set of hardwood stairs we've done anyway. He wanted to get back to doing that sort of work, and he come in and he started the next Monday.
Yeah.
And but the video was all about that we never got to really use. That was all about just trying to show people what it's like to work with us.
Yeah.
And I love the video. I posted it, I think, just for the sake of it. So I was proud of it. I wanted to get it out there. It didn't push it or didn't have much of a caption or anything. It just captured exactly what I've wanted to build.
What Soul Ash is.
Yep.
What you stand for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
Mate, what do you, like a big hurdle, I think, well, not just for builders, but trade, like a lot of tradies, like, is that step from getting, like, having a small team that you've got to be on the tools with to, like, trying to get to that next level where you can step away, spend more time chasing more work, growing the business. Like,
it's a business mind. You've got to switch to the business mindset. You've got to be able to be more comfortable in that way of thinking than the on-site stuff. I honestly think the days are gone of being a builder on site and running
mate,
you might be able to do one job at a time, maybe keep on top of that, but the service with your clients or your processes, they're going to go by the wayside because there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
You've got it. That shit on site has to happen. And once you sign a contract, that takes priority because you've really got it. And then if you're not running quite the business you want to, you're probably chasing your tail too. So the site stuff's even more urgent.
It's a hard one, because you're no different to myself. I love the tools. Not just the tools. I love being on site with the music, like having a muck around with the boys. And it is hard it is hard to step away from that.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I find I do that. I get my kicks out of that stuff doing it at home, stuff around the house now. And the to-do list at home just gets bigger, and I get to get my fix of hands-on stuff at home. The guys don't want me on site as much anymore either. I could feel it when I go there. Like, they just want me to answer the questions they have.
Yeah.
And that's how it's changed. Instead of me going to site and saying, this is what we're doing, I go to site and they're asking me, they know what we're doing. They're just asking me little bits and pieces that maybe we weren't clear on or something might have changed. Going to site's easy now. Yeah.
And so do you contribute a big part of that back to being confident in your numbers and allowing enough to have confidence that they're going to get it done in a timely manner and you're still going to make money out of the job?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. The next big part from that is getting the information to the guys so they've got the information to do what you've priced or what you've allowed for in the job. And one of the big things we've done was starting to do, we do our preliminary inspections with Dave. Our supervisor will come to those. So that's before we've won the job. We're in the pack process. He'll come and I want Dave to be across as much of the job as I am from the earliest stage possible. That way, when he's reviewing plans, we often just review them on site, or because we're a little bit out of away from where we work, we don't do it in the office much anymore. But he knows the house; he's familiar with it. We've got quite a detailed preliminary inspection list that we do, and we just document every style of architrave, wall coverings, floor coverings, wall lines, all that stuff. So when I'm in the office, I've got all that information there. But when Dave looks at the plans, he knows what's involved with it as well.
Yeah.
So when we come on and start a site, we do a pre-start meeting maybe 2 weeks out, and that's more or less just so that Dave can meet the clients. And he knows it's go time, and then the rest just sort of falls into the process. It's all in Builder Trend, which they all have access to, and all the info's there. So I think a big part of it is understanding it to start with and making sure you're confident that you've priced a full complete job and you've covered everything, and then getting that information to the guys on site.
A lot of it, it goes back to what we were talking about before. So much of it is that, at the end of the day, I think it's probably quite simple. Builders aren't understanding their numbers. They're chasing the next job because there's no cash flow and they need to get a job in. So they rush through the quote, they miss things, they don't do the investigations and all the prelim work that they should.
Assume a lot of stuff.
Sign a contract, rush, get a deposit. Oh shit, all right, we're going now. That's going to help pay those bills. All right, boys are on site, rush again.
It's all chase and tail.
Yeah, and it's just, you're creating your own problems.
Yep.
Mate, I think I take my hat off to you. I think it's absolutely awesome. I'm keen to know more about what you're doing to help out, because we had this conversation. You touched on it before, so
Yeah,
like,
it was more about, I wanted to find out a bit more about what made me tick. I'd sort of lost myself in the business struggles. Like early on, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. If I had spare time, I didn't know how to spend it. I didn't know what I enjoyed doing. And I wanted to get that back a bit. And so I got searching online and I come across this Rising Kings, and it's a movement really that they're trying to facilitate blokes to live to a higher standard really in all aspects of their life. And it's such a reward. It's challenging and it makes you ask a lot of questions that are tough, but it's in such a supportive network.
so what, if you don't mind me asking, like, what mindset were you in to think, like, because that's pretty powerful to think that you were lost and you didn't know what to do. Like,
I remember the day. Tanae said on tomorrow, it was Saturday. She said, "Why don't you go and just have the day, do what you want?" And I thought I'll go for a massage, and then I couldn't think of nothing else I wanted to do. And I was just back in that time, I wasn't journaling or anything. I just had this. I just thought about that, and I was like, "That's fucked. That's not."
well, that's not. I wouldn't have thought that's you. Like,
No, and a lot of people wouldn't, because you put this front on because you got a lot of responsibility. Everyone's dependent on you, so you put a front on. But I wanted to start enjoying life again, and I needed to do some big work on it.
Yeah. And so you just decided to start searching for something that was going to make a difference.
Yeah, I didn't really know what I was looking for at the start. More just personal development type stuff, just something to give me a bit of structure about, and for me to assess what it is I want to be doing, and really find that purpose in life that in turn will draw everything else. That's what's going to drive everything.
Yeah.
And then that too is a multi-pronged attack. You've got to definitely the mental side of things and work on yourself, but the physical side of things makes a massive difference to your mental health.
Yeah.
I was just I was lazy. I was really lazy when the hip was bad. I used that as a real excuse. I was like, I couldn't train, but I could have been eating better. I could have been drinking less piss. I haven't had a beer for tomorrow. Will be 8 weeks since I've had a beer, and I've lost 11 kilos in 8 weeks.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're looking good, but I wouldn't have thought you'd lost 11 kilos.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah, it's been and just everything's changed. Energy's better. The clarity in the way I think is just so much better.
Yeah.
I don't get flustered. I don't make as many excuses for why I'm not doing things I think I should be. I found it easier to do the stuff in the business, work on that stuff, because that's just been so much my whole life for the last few years. But to do that personal stuff, it takes a lot of it's hard to, some of that stuff's really hard to go through.
Yeah.
But and it comes back to the same thing, that you're responsible for everything that happens to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing happens to you. Like, mate, I heard Grant Cardone saying that, and I'd heard it a lot, and then we went to his 10X growth conference 2 years ago, and same as you, I just kept thinking about it. I was like, fucking, it is so true. Like, nothing happens to you, everything happens because of you. Like, but it can, like, it's hard to sit and reflect, isn't it, and take ownership for things.
Yeah, a lot of as blokes, we like to push a lot of it down and just forget about it.
And have a beer.
Yeah, have a beer or 10, and it's just the wrong way to deal with it. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it, as tough as it's been. Just get so much better understanding of who I am and how I tick.
Yeah.
I've never been prompted to think about some of these things.
Yeah.
These guys that run it are just unbelievable. Yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone.
Like we actually had Justin from Abode on for his second podcast a few weeks ago, because he's had enormous change as well over the last 12 months, and like we got into a conversation similar to this about taking ownership, but it was more when it comes to personal and relationships and things, and it is quite upsetting and scary, isn't it, how much of a toll businesses take on families and relationships, and I guess we
reckon
take it for
building
granted.
businesses are probably, for some reason, it might happen across other businesses, but builders manage to drag their wife into the business.
Yeah.
How many builders do you know that's just husband and wife, and it's very rarely the wife's pet
Yeah.
or draw or
Well, it's not what she was
interest.
thinking she was going to do for the rest of her life or
No,
for
they
her
come
career.
on for necessity that you need help, and like we've spoke about before, you think it's free help, but yeah, I don't know if any other industry has that. I suppose a lot of small businesses would happen because it takes so much small business takes so much toll on the family unit. It's not avoidable when you go home. It's the
Yeah.
only thing on your mind when it's not going well.
Yeah.
And but whereas now I can completely switch off on a weekend. I don't have to go into the office.
Yeah.
Our office is at home, but I don't have to go in there every weekend. I
Yeah.
completely, when I leave there on Friday afternoon, I know I'm on top of everything. Nothing sits in the back of your head. Oh, I've got to do that. I should be thinking about this. Yeah, it's just been massive to feel that calm and in control of it.
Yeah. But as blokes, like, forget about the business stuff. We are, like, you get into a relationship and you get lazy, don't you? Like,
You get complacent.
yeah, complacent.
Yeah.
You like, how hard is it, honestly, to organise a date night? Like, I'll put my hand up. I'm fucking useless.
Yeah.
Like,
So that's something that's one of the weekly disciplines in Rising Kings, and they set things that we've got to do, and we've got to report on them to the guys too. And and there's one thing that's called the Queen's Review, and
Yeah.
so there's 3 questions that your wife answers, and you've got to show to the guys, and
yeah, right.
that was pretty rough. The first one,
Yeah.
it was all
What
stuff.
type of questions are they?
How's your husband showing up as a provider? How's your husband showing up as a lover? And how's your husband showing up as... Oh, I can't remember the third one off the top of my head. They were all equally as brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew a lot of them. You know, you just
Yeah.
you just put it off because you're not getting roused every time. But in all honesty, your wife's given up hassling you to do this shit. I think a lot of the times, and that's what it is about showing up as a man. It's not just the work side of things and providing for the family. That idea of a family unit's outdated.
But as like blokes, we like I know we're not vulnerable, are we? Like we feel weak if you be a bit more vulnerable and you have a teary to your missus or you do something romantic, all that type of stuff. Like we think it's not the way it needs to be, but it absolutely does.
Yeah, but when we done these questions, a lot of the things that come out were just small things that she was missing or wanting, just this small bit of affection, like just like a kiss and a cuddle when you leave all the time, and like never forget to tell them that you love them and that sort of thing on your way out, or just do dishes, do washing, do things without them asking. That was today's biggest thing.
Yeah.
I've always got to ask, and you get lazy until you're asked, then you'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a big part of that home life stuff has just been taking more initiative. And if you look at it like you guys at work, like if you get sick of hassling them to do the same job over and over again, you would sack them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, true. Yeah.
So that's been a massive one. And just, showing up as a husband, like, and the best way to probably think of it is how you act and how you show up in the early start time of a relationship when everything's rosy and everything's exciting, before you get lazy and into those bad habits.
Yeah, I know. I definitely need to take ownership and do more of this stuff. Open the door and all that sort of shit.
Yeah,
bring out some random flowers. Put a bit of effort in.
One of the guys described it as if your grandmother seen how you were treating your wife, would she smack you around the ear? And if you look at all the things that we don't do, that's exactly what would happen. Yeah, like you wouldn't act like that in front of your grandmother or your mother, who you want to show up as looking after your partner or your wife. Yeah, if you wouldn't act like that, why do it when no one's watching? You shouldn't slack off. So that's been a massive a big thing I've had to work on. I've never folded so much washing in my life, and now I think she's starting to leave more for me. So she's starting to really enjoy it. But,
well, I'm sure the rewards are there. And so, mate, all that stuff, like businesses going well, relationships going well, like do you feel like you're getting to that point where you've achieved the freedom?
Yeah, well, my mindset's gone to helping other people now. Where can we? I feel so grateful for what we've got at such a young age. I feel really obligated to help some people.
Yeah.
how, and I haven't. I know it's going to be around wheelchair accessibility for people who can't afford to make them changes to their house. That's just something that from when me and my brother were in the wheelchairs when we were young, that our house just wasn't set up for it, and it was really hard on our parents. And
I was going to say I wasn't sure if you'd want to talk about that, but you told me that story the other day, and like I haven't stopped thinking about it. I was like, fuck, like you've thought right back to then. And
yeah,
it's
that's what this is what Rising Kings has brought out, has made you think about this stuff, and it's a structured 9-week course that you go through.
Yeah.
We do a round table, which is a Zoom call with a facilitator, a couple of team leaders, and all the guys, and we all do it all together and work through this stuff.
Yeah.
So you get pretty honest feedback, brutal feedback.
Yeah.
And that's what's when I really think about my purpose. As builders, we all love helping people, and that's sometimes our biggest downfall if we're not sure how we're spending our time. But that's going to be my main driver, I think, is helping people in that area. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to go about it yet, but it's definitely, I'm going to do one this year.
So can you tell us a bit more about how you come up with that? Because you just mentioned that you and your brother are in wheelchairs. I only found this out 2 weeks ago.
It's long. Feels like such a long time ago. But when we were about 10 or 12, we developed a that's called Perthes disease in your hip, and it's a degenerative disease which causes the ball on top of your femur to grind away and then eventually dislocate. So we had some operations where they reconstructed the hip and had both legs in plaster with a broomstick across them for like 6 or 8 weeks at a time. Shit. I remember the worst one was 5 foot from toe to toe, and you're just on a bed. So you're in you can get in a wheelchair and get around, but you can't get through doorways. Like you've got to rock up on the side to try and get through doors and things. Anyway, I just remember when I reflected on it. At the time, it's all shit because it's all happening to you. But I honestly think that was the straw that broke the back with mum and dad's relationship. How hard it was living with 2 kids in a wheelchair in a rental house. You couldn't make changes. We made makeshift ramps and shit like that. But I remember I had to do a trip back to the hospital with that big plaster, and the ambulance guys had to carry me out. So one had hold of my legs and one had me under the arms. And as we were going down the ramp, one slipped, and the one holding under the arms dropped me. I just landed on my head, and the other bloke still had hold of my legs. And I hadn't thought about them memories for years. They were just put down because I didn't want to think about them anymore. But bringing them up really gave me something to think about and really come up with a solid purpose of why I'm doing what we're doing. Like, we're doing really well now. Don't waste it. Like, we've got more than we need. I want to give it back. Yeah,
mate, that is an incredible cause. So your goal is to help families that are in need or have kids with disabilities.
And mainly the ones who it happens to, like an accident or something. It's not something they couldn't have prepared for. It's not their fault, but they're in a situation where their life's tougher because of it. That's what I want to help with.
Mate, seriously, like you're an inspiration. Like you're bringing tears to my eyes, mate. It's been a watery-eyed one, this one. But mate, look, thanks so much for coming back on. Like your story is going to inspire so many people, and like I said, the big reason I wanted to get you on is I do feel that there's a lot of people in our industry that have really had a tough time in 2022, especially this last half. And I really feel it, like you telling your story and taking ownership, doing what you've done to get to where you are now, hopefully will inspire a lot more people to just stop blaming things and see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Take ownership and seek help to do what you need to do.
All right, mate. So before we go, we're getting every guest now to ask a question that we ask the following guest. So your question is, if you could tomorrow leave and go anywhere in the world, all expenses paid, what would you do?
I'd go to Canada or America, where they have a lot of the big timber log homes and big timber structured homes. I'd just love to maybe go and spend some time with a builder who builds some of that stuff, pick their brain.
Yeah, check it out, see what's involved. It's pretty cool seeing all that stuff on Instagram and that.
I love it, but it's really hard to do in our industry in Australia.
Yeah. So, mate, what's off the top of your head, what's a question that I can ask the next guest from you?
I think a good one will be, what's the last excuse you made that you wish you owned up to and what difference that would have made?
Hey, that is a fucking cracker. We're going to have to pick a good guest to get that question. Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
No worries.
So, look, guys, if you like the podcast, please like, subscribe, because, that really helps us out and allows us to continue to do these awesome podcasts for you. Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Duayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.